got a slip in your palm and a hole in your chest. Black coffee on the felt, man, you look like a mess. 3-team parlay turned to dust in your hand. Now you stare at the chips like they made you this man. But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now. Hold on, hold on. Not tonight, not now. Hold on. Let me pull you out. That fella bites hard, but it don't get the crown.
What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you with Toadstool Sports. Sunday, almost at Saturday. Sunday, May 31st, last day of May, whatever. 1-2 on the show yesterday. Drew Rasmussen gave up 4 runs in the first inning on 2 hits. Like, how likely is that to ever happen? It's fucking bullshit. So that under was over immediately in the Tampa-Anaheim game. There's nothing you could do about it. It's just complete fucking bullshit. And then Toronto was a winner in the first 5. They should have won the full game, and I know there were a bunch of professionals on Toronto full game in that one, but I was worried about the bullpen being overextended, and they gave up 5 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning and blew whatever the hell lead it was. They were losing the game early, 1-0, and they took the lead in the 4th inning. They were winning for us at the end of 5. They extended the lead further. Then they blew the whole thing in the 9th inning. I think they were winning by 4 runs going into the bottom of the 9th. Ridiculous. But it makes me feel good about going first 5 on it because that was the one winner. And then, yeah, fuck the Thunder. I mean, what do you want? Like, what do you want me to say? They played pretty poorly. There's nothing else to say about it. It's fucking bullshit, dude. Whatever. You heard my handicap on that game. I would make that play again every fucking time. It's way more likely to win than it isn't. I'm done with that. Whatever. Let's talk about today. I don't know what's going on with these boards, these screens that I use to look at the odds. Like Wager Talk updated theirs. It's an odds logic integration. We don't really see any of the total percentages still, just like yesterday. Pregame has been out for like a month, like more than that. They haven't fixed their shit. I'm fucking pissed. Whatever. We have basically all baseball today, and there is one WNBA game today. Baseball, 12:15 Eastern, Peacock, Toronto and Baltimore finishing a 4-game series. Baltimore won the game yesterday. That was the only game they won of the series so far. So Toronto is leading the series 2-1. I think both teams will still show up for this. I mean, it's a divisional series. I think the games matter. Neither team is on the verge of a sweep here. Toronto's got to be worried about their bullpen usage, though, which, as you can see here, has been quite a bit. They used 5 guys yesterday, too, out of a bullpen where they already had pitched a bullpen game the game before that, and they're going with another bullpen game today, so none of that looks good to me, even though they generally have the better bullpen. Baltimore has more arms available out of it today. It looks like they used 3 guys yesterday. Baltimore is ranked 19th in bullpen based on whip. Toronto's 12th, but as I just showed you, it looks like Toronto's rest situation kind of negates any edge they would have there. Hitting-wise, Toronto's actually been pretty bad. They're 23rd. This is based on OPS. Orioles are 11th, so Baltimore actually has hit all right. Spencer Miles is listed as the starter for the Blue Jays here. Like I said, I don't think he's going to go that deep here because they're usually using him as the beginning of like a bullpen game whenever he goes out there. He's got good numbers, 2.16 ERA, 1.02 whip. He did go into the 5th inning the last couple times out against the Yankees in Miami, and he pitched pretty well there, so that may be what they have him do because they need to save some of these arms. So he may be able to get into the 5th inning again here. I still don't really trust what I'm seeing here, although his numbers are good on the season. 32 strikeouts, 9 walks, 25 hits, 33 1/3 innings pitched. Numbers against Baltimore non-existent, so they haven't seen him before. So there is a chance Miles does pitch okay while he's out there, but I don't really want anything to do with Toronto's bullpen here. Baltimore is going with Kyle Bradish, who at least is an actual starting pitcher. 3.86 ERA, but his whip is way too high, 1.47. He's putting too many guys on base. He's been good at home, though, 2.86 home ERA. Pitched pretty well in his last few outings. Like, basically this entire month he's been good, including a 6-inning, 1-hit shutout against the Yankees. A couple of starts in there against Tampa, another one against the A's. So these are not easy offenses to face, and he's actually been decent. So he is pitching better right now. This month, 21 hits allowed in 28 1/3 innings, 30 strikeouts, 13 walks is a little bit high, but he's definitely pitching a little bit better right now. On the season, he does have fewer than 1 hit per inning, thanks to this month. More than 1 strikeout per inning, and his walk rate is definitely too high. But he looks like he's in better form currently. However, he does not have good numbers against the Blue Jays. They only have 6 batters who have faced him before, and it's primarily Vlad Guerrero and George Springer. Both do a lot of damage against them. The other guys have done nothing, basically. 51 at-bats, 294 average allowed, 855 OPS, 5-4 strikeout walk ratio. But it's like, how much do you want to weigh this when it's really 2 hitters that do all of that to him? I don't know, man. It almost has me more, like, leaning more towards Bradish actually potentially doing okay here. Even though my first reaction on this was this looked like an over game because you got a bullpen situation up against Bradish with not good matchup numbers. But I don't know. Then I start kind of thinking about it. I don't know. You could make an argument for first 5 under here. Obviously, I would not make that a full game play. If you went over with this, I think you would have to go full game, take advantage of the bullpen issues that these teams might have here. But first 5, I could potentially see fewer runs being scored early in this game. That's basically what I got on this. The money is coming in on Baltimore a little bit. Maybe with the way that they won yesterday, ending a little bit of a losing streak. I guess maybe the thought is that'll give them some momentum. I don't know. I guess maybe it's Bradish being a real starter against Toronto's bullpen situation. But then again, Bradish does still have bad matchup numbers, even though it is only against 2 guys, really. Miles has never been seen before by Baltimore, so they might actually struggle against him. 53% of tickets on Toronto, 51% of the cash on Baltimore. Obviously, this is not one of my plays. That's a difficult game to get a grasp on. First 5 under maybe makes some sense, but I want nothing to do with that. This next game I will do something with, though, and hopefully it's not going to be what happened the other day because it's going to be the same thing I tried in the first game of the series. It didn't work out. I know we're going against a Pittsburgh offense that does well at home. I know, but I'm going with the pitching here. Minnesota, Pittsburgh, first 5 innings under 4. Minus 115 is what I found the price at out there. Multiple different books had that price. I like the starting pitching here, dude. And the odds makers, like right away, you see the total in this game, 7.5. The odds makers are telling you they think this is going to be a lower scoring game here. And I agree, but I don't want anything to do with the bullpens. I don't like either bullpen, especially Minnesota. Minnesota did only use 2 relief pitchers, but their bullpen is awful. I'm talking about how many they used yesterday. Pittsburgh used 5, I think is what that is. Pittsburgh is the better bullpen. They're ranked 16th. They're kind of a mediocre bullpen. Minnesota's is bad, 28th out of 30. But I'm taking them both out of the equation here. Pittsburgh's is less rested, so no bullpens for me in this equation here. Yes, the offenses are good. Pittsburgh is tied in 6th with the White Sox. Who would ever think we'd be saying that right now? And Minnesota's is 15th, arranged by OPS. But looking at the starting pitchers, Zebby Matthews is pitching for the Twins. I think he might have found something out, man, or figured something out because he's still pretty young. He struggled a bit early in his career. He's a talented pitcher, though. So far this year, he's got a 2.37 ERA, 0.84 whip. I know he's been worse on the road, 4.5 road ERA. Not great, but it's a very small sample size. It was one road start against a hot-hitting White Sox team, and he still went 6 innings, held them to 3 earned runs, and that was still a low-scoring game. And he gave up a home run to Murakami that kind of did some of that damage there. He settled down. He was actually bad early in that game and settled way down. And there is an argument to be made that the White Sox should not have scored that many runs with the lack of offense they had in that game. So I actually like what I see out of what Matthews did in this game. The game landed 4 in the first 5 innings in that game, but that was just because of what I think was a little bit of an outlier amount of scoring at the beginning. Matthews has allowed 5 runs so far in 19 innings, 14 hits allowed, 17 strikeouts, 2 walks. And he faced Houston in there as well. That's a pretty good offense as well. Miami, not as good, but I like what I've seen out of him so far. I think he can continue to do well against a Pittsburgh team that the only guy that's ever faced him is Horowitz. And I know he's 2 for 2 with a home run. That's not good for Matthews, I know. But for the most part, he's completely unfamiliar to Pittsburgh. So I think that is an advantage to him. So I will side with Matthews here. But then Braxton Ashcraft is pitching on the other side for the Pirates. He's been really good. 2.75 ERA, 1.05 whip. I know he's worse at home. I know we're going against the home road splits a little bit, but a 3.44 ERA is not exactly bad. And he's been in good form basically this entire month. He had one start where he gave up a few too many runs against Philadelphia. Well, he still only gave up 4, though. I'm not going to really knock him for that. He's got a 31-5 strikeout walk ratio this month in 28 innings. 28 hits allowed in 34 2/3 innings. He's allowed 1 or 0 earned run in all but that one outing against Philadelphia I just mentioned. And he faced the Cubs his last time out. That's a good offense. He held them down. Ashcraft is in really good form right now. On the course of the season, he's got some strong numbers. Way below 1 strikeout per inning. Strikeout rate above 1 per inning. Walk rate not too bad either. I like what we're getting out of him right now. And Minnesota has not seen much of him. Only Arcia and Caratini have ever faced him before. They're 0 for 3 against him. No strikeouts, no walks. So I'm going to do it. First 5 innings under 4. I like both starting pitchers. This is also the type of game where nobody's going to play an under in a game like this. Nobody knows who these pitchers are. Who's going to want to put their money on a guy named Zebby? You know what I mean? Again, his middle name is Zebulon, so his nickname is Zebby. I think his actual first name is like Dave or something. David, Daniel, I don't know, some crap like that. Whatever. Zebulon, get it done for us, man. Under first 5, Minnesota, Pittsburgh. That's one of my 2 plays today. This next game up, I almost put on the card, San Diego and Washington. I like the over in this game, and this one almost made the cut for me. Washington won yesterday 9-4. This has been a high-scoring series, dude. Each team has won 1 game. We've seen 12 and 13 runs scored in the first 2 games of the series. Washington, notorious for high-scoring games at home. Their pitching tends to suck at home. Their offense is very capable, and their bullpen is bad as well. They used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. San Diego is a good bullpen, though. They used 2 relief pitchers. San Diego's ranked 5th in bullpen here right now. Washington is 25th. Offensively, it's the complete opposite. Washington is 4th. San Diego's 29th. But I think there is going to be hitting here. This starting pitching matchup looks atrocious, combined with 1 bad bullpen from Washington. I think we're going to see runs here. Griffin Canning is pitching for San Diego. Yeah, things have not worked out so far for him. I mean, if you watch my show, you know I've had negative things to say about him in the past, mostly just that he sucks. He's got a 7.54 ERA so far. First season with San Diego, 1.54 whip. That is all very bad. His ERA on the road is 32.4. But, of course, it's a very small sample size. It was 1 road start against Milwaukee, but it was bad. It was his worst start, and he hasn't really pitched that well. But he got rocked in that start. However, I will give him credit. He pitched okay in his last couple outings against the Dodgers and the Phillies. Got to give him credit for that. So one of my concerns is actually both starting pitchers here. Even though I think they're both trash, they're both actually pitching a little bit better. recently. So I am abstaining from this game basically just for that reason. Canning, by the way, is allowed almost exactly 1 hit per inning. He does have more than 1 strikeout per inning, but his walk rate is also really high. And he does not have good numbers against Washington. In 50 at-bats, 300 batting average, 864 OPS allowed, 9-5 strikeout walk ratio. So Canning does not have good numbers here against Washington. Zach Littell will be going for Washington. He's not been pitching well this season either, although, like I said, this month he actually has been better. But overall, 5.23 ERA, 1.39 whip. He's been worse at home. A lot of Washington's pitchers are. 5.65 home ERA. But I'm concerned about fading him. Like, he's been pitching better than Canning has recently. Washington's won 4 of his last 5 starts. And if you look at his last 3 starts, he's gone 5 innings or more in each of them. He's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in each of them. So he is actually pitching well currently. Granted, the last 2 outings are against Cleveland and the Mets. Those are not terrific offenses. Baltimore before that, they're a little bit better. His strikeout rate is low, though, so that is one concern. But his walk rate this month has been low. His hit rate has been low, so he's not putting a lot of guys on base. So that's good, even though he's not really fooling hitters. Over the course of the season, his hit rate is worse than that, and that's been his issue. Hitability, he's allowed way more hits, or not way more hits, but more hits than innings pitched, which is not good. He's allowed a ton of home runs, 15 home runs, but that number's gone way down. He's only allowed 2 of them in May. So, like, what the fuck was he doing in April? He allowed 11 home runs in April. I don't even know if I've ever seen a number that high. I'm going to have to look and see what the record amount of home runs allowed in a month is. That's crazy. But he's gotten that under control, it looks like. The home run number against him has dropped significantly in May, so that's at least good for him. His strikeout rate is low. He doesn't strike guys out. His walk rate wouldn't be that bad, but it looks bad up against the lack of strikeouts, but whatever. But I'm a little bit, my hesitation is just that Littell is pitching better now. Against San Diego, he does not have good numbers, though, which you probably could predict. Although San Diego's offense is atrocious, but it does look like they should be able to get something going against him. By the way, things are so bad with San Diego's offense. Tatis Jr., I believe yesterday he hit his first home run of the year. That is pathetic, dude. When you're considered to be one of the top power hitters in your team's lineup and you did not hit your first home run until the very end of May, like, what are we doing here? I know San Diego's not a hitter-friendly park, but still not having any home runs to this point is absolutely ridiculous. And he bat flipped too, like, oh yeah, way to go, guy. He's also allowed an inside-the-park grand slam this year as well with some horrific fielding. If you guys saw that, I think it was against the Cardinals, against his father's team. He misplayed a ball in the outfield and allowed an inside-the-park grand slam. Yeah, things are not going well. Even though San Diego has a good record, but whatever, they shouldn't. 329 batting average allowed, 955 OPS allowed by Littell to San Diego. So those numbers are bad. Like I said, I would go over in this game. That almost made the cut for me. The total is 9.5, though, I think, and I have to refresh this constantly. We see 92% of tickets and cash on the over here. Total's actually 9, not 9.5, so you can get right on that key number of 9. Like I said, I like it. If I was going to add another play to my card, it would probably be that. But, yeah, I like the over in that game. Even though I know that series, it makes it look pretty easy to play the over, though, because that series has just been an over series. But there are reasons for that. By the way, for the side, San Diego is favored around minus 120. 58% of the tickets and cash on Washington, though, which makes no sense. I don't have a good feel for the side, though, in that one. I mean, San Diego is the better team. They do have a big bullpen edge, if you want to factor that in, but I don't have anything good on that. I think I already mentioned Toronto and Baltimore. The money was kind of indicating on Baltimore, right? Although I think it's shifted around a little bit. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that already. Baltimore's small favorite there. And then the other game, I think I forgot to talk about the side in Minnesota-Pittsburgh. By the way, that under is getting money now in Minnesota-Pittsburgh. So money agreeing with me on that one. 73% of tickets, 87% of the cash. on the under in that one. Money coming in on Zebby in that one, which I believe I already mentioned that, but yeah. So the money backing Minnesota. Minnesota's a pretty decent-sized underdog in that game. I think that's part of the reason why the money is coming in on Minnesota in that one. I think professional bettors basically are looking at this line. Oh, God, Pittsburgh is like minus 155. And while, yes, they're the better team, they have a better, well, not a better, but they have a good starting pitcher on the mound. I think what the professionals are basically thinking is these starting pitchers are not, like, there's not that wide of a gap between those two pitchers. So if you're going to give me that big of an underdog price and it's supposed to be a low-scoring game, every run is at a premium, so it kind of makes sense to maybe grab whichever team is the underdog there if they're that big of an underdog. So I think that's kind of the thinking there. Gerald, what's up? Mr. Pinsey, what's up? Thanks for hanging out, everybody. All right. I'm all out of it today, man. Anaheim, Tampa Bay. I don't even want to talk about this series, but yeah, I mean, I don't know what to tell you about yesterday's game. After that first inning, both starting pitchers actually settled down in that game. I know it doesn't look like it on the final score, but I think Tampa Bay's bullpen got rocked in that game too. Both the games in this series have been high scoring so far. Each team has won a game. What do we do with this? Well, Tampa Bay is the better team, so, I mean, that's kind of the way that I started thinking about this. Tampa Bay did use a lot of relief pitchers in that game yesterday, though, because their bullpen was failing. They used, whatever that is, 5. Anaheim is the worst of the two bullpens. Both bullpens are not great. Anaheim used 4. Tampa Bay does still have a bullpen edge, though, even though they're ranked 18th and their ERA definitely is not good. Angels' bullpen is one of the worst. They're 29th. Really, really bad. They're just off of having the worst ERA now, which is Houston and Kansas City are tied for that honor. As far as the hitting is concerned, Tampa Bay is 8th, so their offense has been pretty good. Anaheim has been hitting again recently. They're back up to 16th, but Tampa Bay has been the better hitting team, and this looks like a big starting pitching mismatch in favor of Tampa to me here. Angels are going with Jack Kohanowitz. He has not been that good. He's been a little bit better. His career has been bad, and this year he's had a run where he was a little bit better than that, but he is starting to pitch poorly again. He's got a 4.99 ERA, 1.39 whip, not great. He's bad on the road, 6.25 road ERA. That's bad. Again, like I said, he was pitching well for a little bit, April and then into May here, but he started pitching really poorly. 3 of his last 4 starts have been pretty bad. His walk rate is definitely too high. Not a huge strikeout pitcher. He's also been too hittable. Over the course of the season, his hit rate is actually not that high, but his walk rate is unbelievably high. He's walking more than one guy every 2 innings, and his strikeout rate is also low, which, you know, that's not his game. He gets guys to he induces a lot of ground balls. He gets guys to hit into a lot of grounders, but still, you can't walk that many guys, and really that's been his main issue really has been the walks. Against Tampa, though, I mean, it is possible he does a little bit better. Tampa only has 2 hitters who have ever faced him, Mullins and Williamson, and they're 1 for 9. The only hit is a Williamson single, and they have 4 strikeouts and no walks against him. So he's unfamiliar to Tampa, and the guys that have faced him didn't do well against him. But Tampa's going with Shane McClanahan, and he's come back nicely from missing, I think, an entire season with an injury. He's looking like he's pretty much almost back to where he was before. He's got a 2.52 ERA, 1.04 whip, good at home, 2.1 home ERA. Pitching well this month as well, almost 1 strikeout per inning, low walk rate, very low hit rate. He's allowed, well, actually, if you go back to his last start in April, he's had 5 shutout performances in his last 6 outings, and the only one that wasn't was a start against Baltimore, which was at home, though, but still, he's been really good, although he hasn't gone that deep into those outings. He's usually going about 5 innings or a little bit into the 6, but still, he's good. He's got a really low hit rate on the season. His walk rate is like a little bit high, but he's overcoming that with how well he's pitched otherwise, and his strikeout rate is right at 9 per 9. Good numbers against Anaheim as well, though only 5 of their hitters have ever faced him. 17 at-bats, no extra base hits, 9 strikeouts, 2 walks, 176 average, 440 OPS. I would obviously trust him a lot more than Kohanowitz here, but if you want Tampa, as this site doesn't automatically refresh, I am so fucking sick of this shit. Can't get a good odds screen anymore. Fuck you, pregame. Thanks a lot. Tampa Bay is getting the money, even though you're having to pay about minus 190, even up to minus 200 for them here. Obviously, if you're going to play Tampa, I mean, you basically have to play the run line with them if you're going to play them, kind of, but I don't know, man. I mean, I guess you could go with Anaheim under their team total. That could be maybe a sneaky. I don't even want to do that. Maybe if you can get a book that has a first 5 team total under, maybe that's what I would do, because I don't trust this Tampa Bay bullpen, man. But I trust them over Anaheim's, though. That's why I was saying I think the Tampa Bay side kind of makes the most sense here. 75% of tickets, 89% of the cash on Tampa. If you're going to go with them, you got to lay a run line, though, basically. So, I don't know. If you want to do that with a home team where maybe they won't score enough, the total's at 8, which isn't really that high. I don't want to do it, but I think that would, I guess, be the way that I think I would play it if you forced me to play that game. But you might not get the at-bats in the 9th inning from Tampa Bay if you need them to pad any sort of lead there to get that thing done. So it is kind of dangerous. Garrett, what's up? I haven't been paying attention to college baseball at all. I know there were a couple of upsets, and then both the teams, like I said, both the teams that got upset, they won their next game, although only one of the two covered the run line, though. I don't do college baseball, though. Acuna, yeah, don't remind me. Dirty Sock, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. All right. Garrett not mentioning the Hurricanes is kind of interesting. All right. What do we have here? Oh, yeah. All right, yeah, Atlanta at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's on the verge of getting swept, I'm pretty sure, yeah. So, like I talk about, when a team is on the verge of a sweep, a lot of times you'll get an extra effort out of them. However, I don't think Atlanta's next opponent is anything special. I think it might be the Blue Jays or something. Let me see. Yeah, it is. So I don't really think it's a look ahead for Atlanta, but still, they've already won the series. So it is possible they overlook Cincinnati a little bit here. So motivationally, I think Cincinnati, they have a little bit of a situational edge there because of that. Cincinnati did use 4 relief pitchers yesterday, though, and their bullpen is bad. Atlanta's is not bad. They use 4 relief pitchers as well. Atlanta's ranked number 1 in bullpen. Their ERA is the only one in baseball that's sub 3. And their whip is also at the top. So, number 1 bullpen. Cincinnati's bullpen is bad. They are 27th. Bad stuff. Atlanta's 3rd in offense right now. And Cincinnati has been hitting a bit better again as of late. They're 14th, so pretty capable offense. I gave out the over in the first game of this series, and Atlanta did most of the damage there, but that game was a winner, a rare winner for me. The way things have been going recently. But it's a hitter-friendly ballpark. I mean, it makes sense to have runs scored here. I don't know if that's going to be the case in this game, though. Spencer Strider is pitching for Atlanta. He's pitching pretty well, except his walk number is definitely a concern, though. He's got a 3.46 ERA, 1.15 whip. That's all good. He's a little bit more hittable, I guess, if you want to call it that, on the road. 3.92 road ERA. But look at his walk number, dude. I know he's coming back from injury. He's pitched pretty well for the most part. He's been very hard to hit. I get that. But he's allowed 6 home runs, though. So even though he's only allowed 15 hits in 26 innings, which is good, 6 home runs is bad. It's even more alarming. He allowed 5 of them in the last 2 games. Both of them on the road, by the way. He's got a good strikeout rate, 32, which is what you expect out of him. 15 walks is a huge issue, though. Multiple walks in every outing. I don't know, man. For me, you can't keep doing that, even though he's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in every outing. Atlanta's won all 5 of his starts so far. So I'm not going to say you should definitely fade him, but there are some issues here with the way he's pitching. He's way too wild. So he's got to fix that. Numbers against Cincinnati are pretty bad, by the way. In 18 at-bats, 5 of their hitters have faced him. 7 strikeouts, 1 walk. That's pretty good. He actually hasn't walked. He hasn't walked these guys, but he's allowed a 389 batting average to them, 921 OPS. So I don't know, man. I don't know if Strider is really the guy you want to back in this particular game here. Cincinnati's going with Nick Lodolo, and I know his numbers don't look good here. 5.57 ERA, 1.38 whip, but he's coming back from injury as well. He had a delayed start to this season. And if you look at what he did, last year and whatever, he was a decent pitcher for Cincinnati, like better than these numbers. And he looks like he's moving in the right direction. His last couple of starts, except for 5 walks 2 starts ago, he looks like he's kind of moving in the right direction. He just had a good start last time out, but it was against the Mets. I know, it was on the road. The Mets blow. I know, their offense has been awful, but still, I think it's a good sign that he's kind of moving in the right direction here. He's got 18 strikeouts in 21 innings overall, 20 hits allowed. None of that is bad, but the walk number is bad, 9 walks. But he didn't walk anybody in that last outing against the Mets. And he's allowed 5 home runs, which is a bit concerning as well. So there might be some home runs in this game. Lodolo has struggled at home so far, 8.68 ERA here in this hitter-friendly stadium. That one start against the Mets was on the road, like I said. He's been good against the Braves in the past, though, in 24 at-bats, 208 batting average allowed, 603 OPS, 10-2 strikeout walk ratio. Braves have the public all over them, 88% of tickets, 84% of the cash on them. They're around minus 130 something here. It looks pretty easy to play the Braves here because they got like the best record in baseball. They've already won the series. Everybody knows they're the better team, but I think if I was going to play this game, I think I probably would take a shot with the Reds in the first 5 innings here. I don't want their bullpen, obviously. Their bullpen is absolute ass, but I think first 5 innings, Cincinnati actually is sneaky and makes some sense here based on the matchup numbers I just showed you. You'll get them as an underdog if you do that. Maybe, I don't know if you'll get them as a bigger underdog in the first 5, but I think that might be what I would do is just take a shot on the Cincinnati money line in the first 5 there, but I don't want to play it. I think there were some arguments for an over in that game as well, even though I know the series has just looked like an over series, and maybe it sounds too easy to do that. But with, Cincinnati's bullpen here, I think Strider might actually be a little bit hittable here. Lodolo has been bad at home this year. Some arguments can be made for an over there, more than for an under, I would say. Totals at 8.5 there, but I still think Cincinnati first 5 would be my preference in that game, but I don't want anything to do with it. Boston at Cleveland. Red Sox won a game yesterday. Hey, it was 9-1, and what was supposed to be a low-scoring game, and it was. The game was like 1-1 in the 6th inning. The Red Sox just unloaded against Cleveland's bullpen really late in the game. So I was somewhat correct. So that game would have been a winner for me. So the other games that I left off my card were first 5 under in Washington, San Diego. That was not a winner. That one would have been a 3.5, and I think it landed 4, even though you could see the bullpens got lit up in that game. But, I think that one slightly went over. Boston, Cleveland would have gone under first 5, which was my other recommendation, I think. Full game wound up going over just because the Red Sox had like one huge inning late in the game. But good for the Red Sox that they're, maybe their bats are starting to turn it around a little bit here. Red Sox have a bullpen edge, in my opinion, here, or maybe even objectively. They used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Cleveland used 4. They've had a bit more usage recently, and they got kind of lit up. And the Red Sox bullpen has been solid. They're 6th in bullpen ERA. Cleveland, or 6th in bullpen whip, but their ERA is also really good. Cleveland is 14th. They're not a bad bullpen, but Red Sox have a bullpen edge here. Offensively, neither team has done that well. And the Red Sox have actually jumped ahead of Cleveland in that department. The Red Sox are 21st, Cleveland 23rd. So Red Sox have been better at the plate recently as well. Red Sox are going with Ronier Suarez in this game. He's been decent for them, 3.02 ERA, 1.08 whip. Those numbers look good, although if you kind of look at his other metrics, they're not quite that good, but he's been pretty good. He's been good on the road, 1.99 road ERA. Gave up 5 runs last time, but it was against Atlanta, so maybe you give him a pass for that. More concerning is that he walked 3 guys each in his last couple outings. But still, I mean, if you look at his overall numbers, strikeout rate's not really that high, but he's been hard to hit. He's allowed pretty few hits here. His walk rate is a little bit higher than you'd like to see, but not that bad. So, yeah, overall he's been decent. He's not really going that deep into most of these outings, but he is trying to come back from an injury. So it looks like they've ramped up his pitch count a little bit in each start since then. He got injured, I believe, in this Houston game. He had like a hamstring thing and got taken out of the game. And since then, he's had 2 good starts and 1 bad start since then, but they've been upping his pitch count each time. And against Cleveland, he's been decent in 30 at-bats. 267 average isn't really that great, but they haven't really hit him for any power. It's been mostly just contact hitting. 613 OPS, 8 strikeouts, 2 walks. Only extra base hit is a fry double. So, yeah, I think Suarez could pitch well here. He's going up against Tanner Bibee for Cleveland, who I think is the harder throwing pitcher. And he's 0-7, but he's gotten a bit unlucky, which, you know, the way that these things even out is crazy. Because, like, Bibee basically had the same numbers last year as far as, like, ERA, whip. Like, he was kind of mediocre. But last year he was getting a ton of wins because Cleveland was scoring a ton of runs every time he pitched. This year they're scoring nothing when he pitches. So it's crazy. He's got a 4.57 ERA, 1.32 whip. Not great. He's been good at home, though. 3.62 home ERA. Does pitch better at home. He got lit up in his last game against Washington. 5 home runs allowed in 3 innings. That is pretty insane, but he's been pretty solid this month otherwise. So you have to kind of figure out, is he falling out of form here, or is that kind of an outlier? Because the rest of this month, or at least the prior 3 starts, were all solid. So against Minnesota and Detroit, though, not really that impressive. Or Cincinnati even, it's not like that impressive. But Red Sox are not that intimidating of a lineup either. Overall, Bibee's got almost 1 hit per inning. That's kind of fine. His walk rate is mediocre. His strikeout rate is lower than you would think, though, because I thought he was more of a strikeout pitcher than that. So I don't know what the deal is with that. It looks like he's lost a little bit on his stuff. I don't really get it. And he's definitely allowed too many home runs, too. He's in a double-digit home run total already. His numbers against the Red Sox are good, though, in 21 at-bats. Not a huge sample, but they only have 2 extra base hits. Duran and Wong each have a double. Wong did some damage yesterday, dude. I don't know. He seems to be the guy that has some of the better. For whatever reason, Wong specifically kills Cleveland. I don't understand why that is. He hits really well against Cleveland, and he sucks ass against everybody else. But I would say put him in the lineup every time you're playing Cleveland. But Bibee has held the Red Sox to a 190 average overall, 476 OPS, 4 strikeouts, no walks. This looks like an under type of game to me. I don't really know if I would want the bullpens, though, because Cleveland's is kind of unrested here. The money is agreeing with the under. The total's already dropped right to the 7, and it looks like it's teetering on maybe even being a 6.5, which is crazy, although I know Cleveland is known for kind of playing these low-scoring games at home. 82% of tickets, 84% of the cash on the under. I think if I was going to do it, I'd probably go first 5 under. Hope, for the pitchers to both do well for that stretch of the game. That's probably what I would do. The Red Sox are getting the money, it looks like. 55% of tickets on Cleveland, 52% of the cash on the Red Sox. I don't really have an opinion on the side. If the Red Sox are in the game and it's a close game, I guess I might slightly lean that way, just because the Red Sox have a bullpen edge, and I believe yesterday they ended a losing streak of some kind, right? So maybe the Red Sox do have a little bit of momentum here. The line is right, like just straight up at a pick-em there. But that's interesting because, of course, Cleveland has the better record than the Red Sox, right? Like, the Red Sox are in last place in the AL East. Cleveland's in first place in the AL Central. But, of course, the AL East is a way more difficult division than the AL Central. So that's something. But I think basically those records are a little bit misleading. Like, I think these teams are closer in how good they are than those records would indicate. So the public might want to play Cleveland because they have the better record, and it looks really easy just taking them as a pick 'em. That may be, a reason to maybe look towards the Red Sox. The odds makers kind of telling you that these teams are basically evenly matched here, or because the Red Sox are, or because Cleveland isn't even getting a full home advantage here. odds makers are kind of telling you the Red Sox are actually the slightly better team and or have the slightly better starter on the mound. All right, Miami at the Mets. The Mets, I believe, are on the verge of a sweep here. Yeah, so the Mets have won each of the last 2 games. They've won each game in the series, I should say. Mets are looking for revenge, man. I actually don't know if they're going to overlook Miami. Now, I know I usually say you want to look towards the team that's trying to avoid the sweep. And yeah, Miami should get up for this game. But Miami swept the Mets like a week ago or whatever, So I think the Mets are kind of looking to do that back to Miami. Miami swept them in Miami, and I think it was actually somewhat historic. I think Miami hadn't swept the Mets since like the 90s or I don't know. It was something ridiculous like that. So that was a big deal for Miami. Miami still wants this game though, so I don't know if, I think both teams are going to be motivated. That's what I will say. The Mets pretty clearly have the better starting pitcher here though. Bullpen-wise, both bullpens are decent. Mets used a lot of them yesterday, though. A lot of their bullpen arms. They used 4. Miami only used 2, so Miami has the rested bullpen, and they are actually the better bullpen, too. Miami's 4th. The Mets are 9th. We're looking at 2 good bullpens, though. But Miami has a slight edge there. Miami has the offensive edge as well. They're 18th. The Mets are still last, 30th. But starting pitching does give an edge to the Mets, which is why they're favored like this. Jansen Junk is pitching for Miami here. He started to pitch a little bit worse recently. He's got a 4.8 ERA now, 1.3 whip after he was pitching well for most of the season. He's been slightly worse on the road, but not really huge home road splits here. He did pitch well in his most recent outing against Toronto, so maybe Junk is coming back into form because he had 2 bad outings in the prior 2 games against Atlanta and Tampa Bay. But of course, and against Washington, he wasn't that great the game before that either. But what I will say is that, of course, those 3 offenses are better than the Mets offense, so he might be able to pitch well here. He did not pitch in that previous series against the Mets, but he looks like he's kind of coming back into form here at least. He still has a 22-5 strikeout walk ratio this month, so that's good. Although the strikeout rate's low in 27 innings, but he's not really walking guys. But he's allowed 38 hits and 6 home runs, so he's been way too hittable this month. His overall numbers, he's been too hittable on the season, more than 1 hit per inning. Walk rate is actually low, and strikeout rate is also low. What is he going to do in this game, though? I honestly have no idea. The Mets have 5 guys who have faced him before, 10 at-bats. They do have a 400 batting average against him, 855 OPS, 3 strikeouts, 1 walk. So they've been able to hit him. They don't have any extra base hits off of him, though. So I don't know, man. I mean, I don't really want to trust Junk here. I mean, he has been pitching a bit worse. I know he's still been decent against bad lineups like this, but this is a lineup that looks capable, at least, of getting to him. And he's going to have to go up against Nolan McLain, who he's been pitching worse recently, too, but I think he's good. I think he's going to come back into form here. He's got a 4.4 ERA, which I know doesn't look that good, but his whip is still good, 1.09. So his ERA should be lower than that. He's been a little bit worse at home. 4.86 home ERA, so that's not great. A lot of it is that his last start, he got blasted by Cincinnati at home, and he wasn't really good in his previous outing either at Washington. But in that outing, it looks like the fielding kind of screwed up behind him and kept him in the game longer than he should have been in there. So I don't think he's that bad, dude. And his strikeout walk ratio continues to be good, 30-9 this month. Good strikeout rate in 26 innings. 28 hits is not that great, though. Neither is 6 home runs. But overall, I like McLain. I think he's good. He's got way over 1 strikeout per inning on the season, way below 1 hit allowed per inning. His walk rate is not that bad either. So I like McLain. I think at some point, he's going to be back in form. Maybe it's here because Miami's not that great of a lineup, and they've never faced McLain before. So that should be an extra edge to him. Again, these bats where they haven't seen a pitcher like this before who's a young, talented pitcher, that's usually an advantage to the pitcher. The money looks to be strongly indicating on the Mets here, and it looks like you might even be able to find a money line that's below minus 150 here. Minus 148 at some books here, I guess. 52% of tickets, 88% of the cash on the Mets. I probably would lean to the Mets here. Man, maybe, I don't know. I guess you could argue first 5 as well because their bullpen is a little bit worse and a little bit less rested here as well. First 5, you could probably get the price down that way. You could go, you might have to pay a little bit more technically, but you could do a run line in the first 5 on the Mets minus a half run. So maybe you could do that, you know. All right. Detroit at Chicago White Sox here. And by the way, the total in that game is 7.5. So the odds makers are expecting it to be a low-scoring game there. All right, Detroit at the White Sox. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. Like, I could see the arguments for the under in that game more so than an over, but 7.5, not that much, where there are some question marks there. So, and the money, again, it looks like the biggest money indicator, although we can't really see what's going on with the total. The indicator seems to be on the Mets there. White Sox are on the verge of sweeping the Tigers, who have just been awful since the Skubal injury. Yeah, I don't know what to say about the Tigers, dude. Bad things going on there. Like, they'll have spots where you think it should set up well for them to be in a bounce back, and it just doesn't happen. So things are going poorly for them. Will the White Sox overlook them? I don't know, dude, because the White Sox are usually not better than Detroit, you know what I mean? So the White Sox might actually still show up motivated here because Detroit has been one of the best teams in this division every year recently. So the White Sox may still get up for a game like this. The White Sox, they're playing Minnesota next. I don't know that that's a huge look-ahead spot or anything, even though I know it's another divisional matchup. As far as the bullpens are concerned, the White Sox used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Detroit used 1. Detroit, I think, does have the better bullpen, and they're a little bit more rested, but that may not be enough. Actually, they've fallen behind the White Sox, although their ERA is still better. Actually, their whip is the same, so yeah, Detroit is the better bullpen, even though they're ranked 23rd based on whip, White Sox 21st, but again, there's no secondary sort order here with ERA, so White Sox have the lesser bullpen here still, but neither bullpen is really anything that you really want to bank on. Detroit's offense has been awful recently. They've fallen all the way to 27th. Very, very bad. The White Sox are 6th. So, yeah, the White Sox do have a big hitting edge here. Detroit's going with Cater Montero here. He's actually been fairly good. 4.09 ERA, 1.07 whip. He was a guy that was out of their bullpen for a while, long relief, and, of course, because of their injuries or whatever, they've just put him in the starting rotation, and he hasn't been bad. He's been a little bit worse on the road, though, 4.6 road ERA. This month, he's struggled a little bit, mostly with the walks, and his strikeout rate's been too low. 16 strikeouts, 10 walks, 5 home runs isn't that great either, and 22 hits allowed is good, though, in 28 at-bats. But Detroit's lost his last 4 starts, although, of course, some of that is because they can't hit, but in a couple of those games, he didn't pitch that well. Some of it was the bullpen not doing well. It's just a combination of things, but his walk rate recently is a little bit worrisome, but on the course of the season, it's not that bad. He's allowed really few hits, pretty few walks really as well. Not a lot of home runs, but more this month than the previous month. By quite a bit, and his strikeout rate is low, so that's a little bit concerning. His strikeout rate has dropped this month, so it looks like he is starting to pitch worse than he was earlier in the season, so he's kind of moving in the wrong direction, which isn't good. The White Sox only have 5 hitters who have faced him, 7 at-bats, but they've hit him. 429 average, 1413 OPS, no strikeouts, 2 walks. Montgomery has a home run off him. I wouldn't put that much weight into that. I mean, it's a small sample size, but Montero, you know, he may just not be as good as he looked like he was in April. I don't really want to trust him right now. Sean Burke is pitching for the White Sox. He's probably the more trustworthy of the 2 pitchers here. He's been pretty solid, 3.9 ERA, 1.15 whip. Burke has been a little bit worse at home, though, 4.35 home ERA. He's pitched pretty well his last couple of starts, though. or actually his last start against Minnesota, 7 innings, 2 earned runs. He wasn't that good in his previous few outings. He actually failed to make it 5 innings in the previous 3. So that's not great, but if you look at his numbers on the month, 30 strikeouts, 9 walks, and 26 and a third innings, 25 hits allowed. None of those numbers are bad. So I think maybe he's gotten a little bit unlucky here. I think he is actually still pitching all right. His season has been pretty good for the most part. Fewer than 1 hit per inning, pretty low walk rate, strikeout rate a little bit low, but whatever. Numbers against Detroit, not that good, though. In 23 at-bats, 304 average, 838 OPS, 5-2 strikeout walk ratio. He has not faced them this year, though. Burke's still a young guy, dude, and he's pitching better this year than he has in the past. So you might not want to weigh his numbers against Detroit that heavily because he is pitching better now than he was when those numbers were accumulated. I think the White Sox have the matchup edge here, man. I know they don't really have the better bullpen. Maybe it's the first 5. Maybe it makes more sense. The money is fading them, though, but I don't want Detroit here. I just don't. 92% of tickets, 91% of the cash on the White Sox. I know Detroit's trying to avoid the sweep, but I still think the game means something to the White Sox here because, again, they've been so bad for so long. But, yeah, the public is on the White Sox. The public likes the White Sox now because of their offense and because they're, the trendy new thing, you know what I mean? The shiny new toy. But I might lean towards them, maybe first 5 only because I don't like their bullpen. But it does look too cheap to play the White Sox in like the minus 120 something range here with the public heavily on them and less of the money on them. So I don't like the market read looking like that. So I'm staying away from it. But total's also fairly low at 8, 7.5 or 8. If you go under here, I would go first 5 innings only on that. I could see the argument for it. Like both these pitchers have had more good than bad, I guess, this season, but I would not really want to bank on that. Obviously, I don't want to play the game at all. All right, Milwaukee at Houston. Houston had a bad spot when they were returning home from the road in the first game of the series. They still almost won the game. Milwaukee won in extra innings in that game. And then Houston bounced back yesterday with a 9-2 win. Houston's playing better baseball recently, man. Their bullpen is still not something I would trust, though. Even though their bullpen has improved recently, I still don't think it's good. They used 2 relief pitchers yesterday. Milwaukee also used 2, but basically Rodriguez in long relief for most of it. Milwaukee is 11th in bullpen right now. Their ERA is quite good. They definitely have the better bullpen. Houston is 26th now because their whip is actually a bit better, but they still are tied for the worst bullpen ERA. So there's still a bad bullpen. Houston has been a good offense, though. They're 5th, and the Brewers have dropped back down to 22nd, even though I thought their offense was improving a bit. But you look at this starting pitching matchup, it looks like a huge mismatch in favor of Milwaukee here. They got Jacob Mierzowski on the mound. I mean, he's been excellent. 1.83 ERA, 0.83 whip. He's already at 100 strikeouts, which is the most in Major League Baseball and the highest strikeout rate also, I think. He's been even a little bit better on the road, 1.66 road ERA. He's had double-digit strikeouts in 3 of his last 4 appearances. Milwaukee's won 4 of his 5 starts in this month. He allowed a run last time out against St. Louis. What are you doing, man? He had not allowed a run in the previous 4 starts this month, and then he finally allowed a run. Oh, man. He's so bad. He allowed 1 run against St. Louis. What the hell, man? Yeah, but his numbers have been just ridiculous. He's only allowed 11 hits in 31 1/3 innings this month and 1 run. Like I said, 49 strikeouts and 6 walks. He's not even walking, guys. Even though I know he was a rookie like last year. He came into the league last year, I should say, and he had some issues with wildness. He's figured it out, man. I mean, his numbers are just elite across the board. His strikeout rate is insane. Like, dude, I don't know how he keeps throwing this hard. He'll be like in the 6th inning and still throwing 103 miles an hour. I think his arm is going to just die. Like, I don't know how you could do this. He's allowed basically 1 hit every 2 innings, which is ridiculous. His walk rate is pretty low as well, and his strikeout rate is the highest in baseball. I mean, 100 strikeouts in 64 innings is complete insanity. I don't know what else to say. And Houston has basically never seen him before, except the former Red Sox catcher, Christian Vazquez, who was 0 for 2 off him with no strikeouts and no walks. But yeah, obviously, I think Miz is going to have a good start here, most likely. He'll be going up against Tatsuya Imai, who is not having a good year. 6.17 ERA, 1.5 whip. This is his first season in the majors, coming over from Japan. Like I said, listening to former MLB scout and current baseball expert handicapper, Tokyo Brandon, who lives in Japan and knows the Japanese leagues too. He basically said that Imai is excessively cocky and doesn't have the stuff to back up his amount of cockiness, so he doesn't like him. Now, Imai was having a really bad season, then all of a sudden, last time out, he had a no-hitter through 6 innings against Texas. Did Texas get no hit in the whole game? I don't know. I kind of missed that. They did. So Houston had a combined no-hitter in that game against Texas. Imai pitched 6 innings of it, and they took him out at just under 100 pitches. But I would worry about him after that, dude. When he finally has a good outing, and it's so good that it's a 6-inning no-hitter, you know, against your geographic division rival in Texas, I would worry about Imai after a start like that. And he almost threw 100 pitches there, too. I would worry about him being in a letdown spot here. And he was pretty atrocious for the entire season until that point. And even in that game, he had 4 walks and only 2 strikeouts. So that's not exactly a good sign. So I don't think I would really trust him here. His walk number is crazy high, almost 1 per inning. Fewer than 1 hit allowed per inning, though. And his strikeout rate is right around 1 per inning. So those numbers are good. So the walks are his issue. The Brewers have never seen him before, so it is true that he might have a little bit of an edge there. And yes, he, I guess, is trending in the right direction with the fact that he had a much better start last time out. But I think it could be more of a letdown spot here, man. I don't trust him, even though he is unfamiliar to the Brewers. I think it's highly likely the Brewers do win this game, but if you want to play the Brewers, you're having to lay a massive price with them. Mierzowski is not a secret, man. Not anymore. And it's at the point now where he's a road favorite of minus 200. I mean, yeah. And the money is actually backing Milwaukee still. 58% of tickets, 85% of the cash on them. I would, I don't know what I would do in this game, man. Houston under their team total might make the most sense here with Milwaukee having an elite pitcher on the mound, plus their bullpen, I think, sets up pretty well here. I think Houston under their team total makes some sense here. Although you're going to need them to be held to, like, I don't even know, whatever that's going to be. They might have to score under 3 or something in this game, so I know that's pretty dicey, but it could happen. The total's really low at 7.5. I mean, I guess there are some arguments to be made for a first 5 under there. I would not want to include Houston's bullpen in that. I think Milwaukee wins the game. I mean, if you want to run line it, I guess you could on Milwaukee, and you'll get all 9 innings of at-bats at least with them to try to get over that 1.5. But laying 1.5 with the road team with a low total like that, that's just not something I would want to do. All right, the next game up is going to be my last play of the day, which is in Kansas City and Texas. These games have been high scoring, which is kind of crazy because Texas is notorious for playing very low scoring home games. Both the games in this series have gone over the total. We've had 10 and 13 runs. Texas is on the verge of a sweep here. That's kind of part of the reason why I'm looking towards the Royals side here in some way. Now, it's not going to be a look-ahead, really, for Texas. They're playing St. Louis next, but they are starting a road trip, so, a lot of times you will actually be focused on the first game of the road trip, want to get it off on the right foot. They might overlook Kansas City here now that, they've beaten Kansas City already in the series. Kansas City's not playing good baseball. They might overlook them, but Kansas City has their most steady starting pitcher on the mound here, and that's what I'm looking at in this game. So my play here is going to be the Royals money line first 5. Decent price out there at minus 105. The odds makers are kind of telling you with this price, really not even giving Texas a full home field advantage here. The odds makers are kind of telling you they think Kansas City has a little bit of an advantage here. And I think Kansas City probably is not quite as bad as their record would indicate, even though I think Texas is also better than their record would indicate. And yeah, Texas is the way better pitching team, but not with this starting pitching matchup. And I'm going to take the bullpens out because obviously Texas has the better bullpen. Texas did use 4 relief pitchers yesterday. Kansas City also did. I know Texas has a massive bullpen edge, so I'm taking that out here. I'm not going to factor that in, obviously. Texas is 8th in bullpen. Kansas City is dead last. They're tied with Houston and dead last in ERA, and their whip is the worst. So congratulations to the Astros. Officially, right now, they are no longer the worst bullpen. Texas is 20th in offense. Kansas City's been worse at 26th, but I'm not going to put that much weight into any of that. Again, I'm focusing basically on the starting pitching matchup only here. And we're going to back Michael Wacha. I know I backed him in his last game with an under. He's solid, dude. I mean, he's pretty clearly Kansas City's best starter, even though he's old. He's not a flashy pitcher, so a lot of times you get some value on him because bettors just don't want to bet on him, even though his numbers are good. 2.69 ERA, 1.02 whip, but he doesn't, throw high heat and blow guys away, so people just don't like him. But he's a solid pitcher. He's a little bit worse on the road, but still a 3 ERA, and we're getting a good pitcher-friendly park here. I'm not too worried about that. He's pitched well this month, 27 strikeouts, 8 walks, 33 innings, 22 hits allowed. Those numbers are all strong. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in every outing, including last time out against the Yankees, which I think I gave out a first 5 under in that game, and I believe it was a win. Pitched well there. Other than that, though, he's faced some weaker offenses. The majority of the offenses he's faced this month have been weaker. Red Sox, Detroit, Cleveland, and then he faced St. Louis and the Yankees, but still, he continued pitching well against the Yankees, so I think he can pitch well against whomever. And, of course, Texas is not exactly an elite offense. Wacha has fewer than 1 strikeout per inning, obviously. That's not really what he does, but his strikeout rate's not that low either. His walk rate is tolerable, not too high, really. And his hit rate is really low. He's allowed 20 fewer hits than innings pitched, so that's pretty solid with 70 innings pitched, basically. Numbers against Texas, you could probably guess. They're pretty good except for the OPS, but I'm still going to roll with this. 71 at-bats, 225 average allowed is really low. But yes, they've had some power hitting against them, I know. 763 OPS, but if you dive into these numbers a bit, it's all Jock Peterson, who's 7 for 26 off him with 2 doubles, a triple, 2 home runs, 3 walks. So if you take Peterson out, the rest of this Texas lineup does almost no damage against Wacha. So that's why I'm gonna tolerate this OPS, although it's not even really that high. It is above the threshold I usually like to look at, but yeah, looking at these numbers, I'm fine with this. Wacha has 17 strikeouts, 9 walks overall against this lineup. I think he could do well here, and we're gonna fade Jack Leiter here. Even though Leiter has some talent, he's been all right, but his walk numbers are a bit alarming. He's got a 4.75 ERA. 1.37 whip. Those numbers aren't great. He's better at home, but still 4.05 ERA is still a run higher than Wacha's road ERA. So even though Leiter is better at home, still not really that good. His last outing at home, he wasn't great against Houston. Gave up 4 runs in 6 innings. He held him to 4 hits, though. But he had 3 walks. That's not very good. He's had multiple walks in all but 1 outing this month. He's only had fewer than multiple walks a handful of times this entire season. None of that is really that good. It's his walk rate that's the problem. The rest of his numbers are good. He's got a high strikeout rate, pretty low hit rate. The walk rate is definitely an issue, though, and it continues to be so. And his numbers against the Royals, believe it or not, are quite bad. In 24 at-bats, I know it's not the biggest sample, but the Royals have really gotten to him. 417 batting average, 1517 OPS, 4 strikeouts, and 5 walks. So I'm going to say we'll do it. I know they haven't seen him this year or whatever, but let's go with Kansas City in the first 5 here only. We'll take their bullpen out because they suck. But I think Kansas City will show up with some motivation here, try to avoid the sweep. We'll go with Wacha above Leiter here. The money seems to agree with this. Like I said, full game, Texas is not even getting a full home field here. They're around minus 115 or so. And you can see the difference here, by the way. Like you can tell these casinos that are in Vegas, like Circa and the Superbook, they got a lower price on Texas. And I can tell you that more like professional bettors are betting. Like, it's a higher percentage of professional bettors betting at those shops. You know what I mean? The Vegas outlets there, especially I think both of those books kind of cater to the. I don't know if I'm allowed to say their names, but I think both those books kind of cater to the professionals. Whereas like DraftKings, FanDuel, obviously more of an influx of recreational money there, and the number is higher on Texas there, so that's even an indicator of something. If the sharper books are leaning more towards Kansas City, so that does tell you that they're kind of telling you that kind of tells you Kansas City is the way to look here. Also, 55% of tickets on Texas, 54% of the cash on them. So the money seems to be indicating in that direction as well. That is what we'll go with. The total is low, by the way, 7.5. It wouldn't surprise me if this is a lower scoring game, obviously, because it's in Texas. More often than not, it's going to be. I mean, an under, if you want to go under, I guess, first 5 innings you could try, but I don't know. I have some issues with that, so I don't really love that, to be honest. But again, obviously, you know what I like here. Kansas City, first 5 is the play there. All right. And you've got my 2 plays for the day now. We have 5 more baseball games. There's 1 WNBA game that I'm not interested in. I'm really being selective with the WNBA, but it's worked out so far, so we should really be undefeated. I'll be right back, and then I'll talk about the rest of these games and then finish with an awful WNBA. Well, not an awful. As far as WNBA goes, it's actually a good game, but it's still the WNBA. All right, I'll be right back. All right. Next game is San Francisco at Colorado. Oh, God. Colorado's actually on the verge of a sweep. San Francisco, even though San Francisco started playing a little bit better recently, things have not gone well. Plus, I guess Colorado's wearing this the City Connect uniforms or whatever, even though I think they're hideous. That's some swag there. I like that pimp fur coat or whatever there. They should all wear those, man. That's probably a coat they give to like their MVP of the game or some crap like that. But whatever. Colorado's on the verge of a sweep here. Again, yeah, things not going well for the San Francisco Giants. We know this. San Francisco's bullpen is decent, though. They used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Colorado used 2. Now, of course, San Francisco probably does have a bit of a motivational edge here. They want to get a game in the series. You don't want to get swept by Colorado. Colorado doesn't really have a look ahead, though. They're playing Anaheim starting tomorrow. Not exactly a huge series there. As far as the bullpens, yeah, the Giants are better. They're 15th. Their ERA is getting a little bit high, though, but they're an all right bullpen. Colorado is worse. They're at 22nd, and their ERA is also significantly worse. So, yes, San Francisco does have I'm used to saying Texas because they have a good bullpen. San Francisco has the better bullpen here. Colorado has the better offense, and they are hitting better in this series. Of course, it is at Coors Field. I guess they are starting to do what they usually do and hit better at home. They're at 18th offensively. San Francisco 25th, not good. So Colorado has the better offense. On the surface, it looks like San Francisco has a big starting pitching advantage here with Robbie Ray on the mound, but I'm going to counter that in 1 second. I mean, his numbers have gotten way worse. He had a good season last year until he got named to the All-Star team, and then he completely fell off last year. This year he was pitching well, and it looks like he's having an early fall off this year because his numbers have gone way up. 4.6 ERA, 1.38 WHIP, not great. He's been really bad on the road, 6.84 road ERA. So that's probably not a good sign now that he's having to pitch in Coors Field, and we know he's not pitching well on the road. He's walked multiple guys in all of his last 4 outings, including 7 walks in his last outing against the White Sox after getting absolutely manhandled by Arizona on the start before that, and also pitching poorly against the Dodgers the game before that. I know all 3 of those offenses can do damage, but still, he's falling off. These numbers are bad. 18 to 15 strikeout walk ratio this month, and 28 hits allowed, and 8 home runs allowed in 25 and a third innings. This has been a very bad month for him. And I don't think things are about to get better here. Even though his season-wide numbers are pretty good. Overall, they're not that bad, let's say. The walk number is really the problem. He's allowed fewer than 1 hit per inning. The walk rate is definitely too high, though. Strikeout rate a bit low. And he's allowed 13 home runs, which is also bad. So, yeah, I don't want to say that the numbers are actually that good. They're not really. And also, he's an extreme fly ball pitcher. And, you know, that's not a good thing when you're in Coors Field. So I went back. I mean, I don't know how many times he's pitched in Coors Field. And I know he pitched there last year once, which was, let me find it. It was in September, and he wasn't great. He went 4 2/3 innings, gave up 4 earned runs, 7 hits. No home runs, though, and 8 strikeouts and 1 walk. So not everything was bad in that outing, but he kind of struggled. And generally, he's bad against Colorado. 29 at-bats, 379 batting average allowed, 883 OPS, 9 strikeouts, 1 walk is good. But the rest of those numbers, really bad. So you got Ray, who's fallen off a cliff. He's in bad form. He's got bad matchup numbers. Fly ball pitcher, I would not want anything to do with him in this game. Tanner Gordon is pitching for Colorado. He's come back into the starting rotation after being in the bullpen. You know, things not going well for Colorado pitching-wise because they never do. He's got a 5.85 ERA, 1.48 WHIP. He's way worse at home, which is expected. 9.45 ERA, though. That is really bad. He pitched pretty well on the road last time out against the Dodgers, but last time he was at home, Texas beat him up, and they just kind of left him in. That was actually a relief appearance, and they just left him in for 6 1/3 innings to save their bullpen. I don't really think Gordon is particularly trustworthy, although some of his numbers are not that bad. He's got more than 1 strikeout per inning, a very low walk rate. His hit rate is way too high, though. He's allowed a lot of hits, and he's somewhat of a fly ball pitcher as well, so that's also not good for a ballpark like this, although San Francisco's really not seen him much. Only Arias and Chapman have ever faced him before. 10 at-bats. They only have 1 extra base hit, Chapman with a double. They're a combined 2 for 10 off him with 1 strikeout and 1 walk. So Gordon has some unfamiliarity here, but I still think overall this game looks like an over to me. I mean, I just don't trust these pitchers. The money's coming in on Colorado, and I can see the argument for it because Gordon does have a little bit of unfamiliarity. Ray definitely looks fadeable here. But I don't really want to do that because San Francisco might have the extra motivation to try to avoid the sweep. 56% of tickets are on San Francisco, though. 65% of the cash on Colorado. It's basically like a pick the winner price there. The money is backing San Francisco, the money's backing Colorado, a little bit. I think over makes more sense than anything else in this game, though. The total's 11 again. I know it's high. It landed exactly on 11 yesterday, I think. But I think over the total makes the most sense there. I think Ray could definitely get lit up here. I don't trust Gordon either, especially his home numbers are just bad. I don't think the unfamiliarity is going to help that much. And Colorado has a bad bullpen, too. And even San Francisco's isn't really that good. So I think there are more indicators towards an over than anything else there. Yankees at the A's. The A's were able to get a win yesterday. So these teams have split the first 2 games. And the A's ended a 4-game losing streak. So I don't know what this ABS gaffe was in the game yesterday, but whatever. I'm also, who is that A's... who's the long-haired dude on the A's? I don't know. That's some crazy hair right there. I got to figure it out. I don't know the personnel well enough. Anyway, the A's won yesterday 6-4. So this will be the rubber match of this series. I expect both teams probably show up here. Both teams have good offenses. The A's used a lot of bullpen arms yesterday. The Yankees used fewer. A's used 4. Yankees used 2. Really just 1. Doval barely pitched. So Yankees definitely have a bullpen edge here. They're the better bullpen, and they're more rested. Right now they're 13th, and the A's are 24th. Hitting-wise, the Yankees are number 2, and the A's are number 10. So we have 2 good offenses here. Will Warren is pitching for the Yankees. He's had a much better season than his counterpart here in this game. Warren is actually pitching well. 3.55 ERA, 1.17 whip. He's been even better on the road. 2.86 road ERA. Last year, he was significantly worse on the road, so I don't know, but it looks like he's figured something out, man. He's pitching well, although his strikeout rate has gone down recently, but he's still pitching well overall. This month, he still has a high strikeout rate, more than 1 per inning. The walk rate's not bad. The hit rate's good. He's still pitching well. The Yankees have won almost all of his starts, all but 2 of them this season. He's got a high strikeout rate, more than 1 per inning, fewer than 1 hit allowed per inning. His walk rate's not that bad. Across the board, good numbers out of Warren, dude. And against the A's, he's good as well. 225 batting average, 615 OPS in 40 at-bats. The only bad number is the walks, 7 walks and 12 strikeouts. Only 2 extra base hits, doubles from Heim and our favorite guy, Nick Kurtz. As long as he's not the guy with the long hair, is he? No. I don't know who the guy is with the long hair. I apologize. I'll try to figure it out because I want to know. I don't know what anybody looks like. All white people look the same to me, man. Anyway, the other concern is obviously because this is the A's stadium, you have to treat it like Coors Field. It's a very home run conducive stadium, very hitter friendly. Will Warren is more of a fly ball leaning pitcher, so that's concerning. So then what I did was I'm like, well, did he pitch at the A's stadium last year, which was the only year they were in the stadium? And in fact, he did. Once in May, and he actually pitched really well. He went 7 1/3 innings, allowed 1 earned run, no home runs, 4 hits, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk. So I don't think Warren is going to be intimidated going into the stadium because he already went there and did that last year. So he looks like he sets up quite well in this start to me. Jacob Lopez is pitching for the A's, and he has really not been good. I mean, he looked solid for a while last year. He was getting guys to really get fooled by his curveball, but he's not good, dude. 5.73 ERA, 1.77 whip. This is not good. He's been slightly worse at home, which makes sense. 5.95 home ERA. He's not doing well. He's barely made it 5 innings in like all of his starts this month. I know the A's have won more of them than they've lost, but overall he's not been good. 17 strikeouts, 10 walks this month in 24 innings and 28 hits allowed. Not a lot to like about any of those numbers. On top of 7 home runs allowed. He's allowed 11 on the season. Not good. He's allowed way more than 1 hit per inning. Strikeout rate low. He's allowed a ton of walks. His walk number is crazy, dude. He's allowing, I mean, it's not that close to 1 per inning, but it's way over 1 It's way over 1 every 2 innings, though. I mean, that's just crazy. And he's an extreme fly ball pitcher, so that does not play well in the A's stadium. So, honestly, I don't even know how he was as good as he was last year because, there's nothing to like about any of this. Except, I guess, that the Yankees haven't seen much of him. Only Caballero and McMahon have ever faced him before. Caballero has the only hit, a single. They're 1 for 3 combined off him with no strikeouts and no walks. But I would not trust Lopez here. I think the Yankees win the game. I would lean Yankees in some capacity here. I mean, what's their price? They're not that heavy of a price, I guess, and they're in the minus 160s. I don't know. They're a public side, though. 92% of tickets, 92% of the cash, but I don't see how they lose the game, really. I mean, they have a significantly better starting pitcher. They have a decent bullpen edge here, and they have the better offense. So I think the Yankees side is really the only way that I could see looking at this game, to be honest. I mean, I guess you could do a split bet run line, money line, make your own -1 run line. Something like that. Maybe that is the way to do it. The money is disagreeing, though, and the Yankees are public, so I don't like seeing that. And I think it's really, again, it's just the professional bettors basically you're just like, well, the Yankees are always overpriced, so you have to fade them, right? You have to take, the value by fading them. Yeah, with this matchup, I don't see any way that I would want to do that. So I would lean Yankees. Barlow, what's that? What are we talking about here? I don't get the, that's Barlow is the guy with the long hair. Is that what you're saying? All right, thank you. Is that right? That hair is solid. Dude. Yeah, there you go. Scott Barlow. Yes, thank you. Yes, that is him. Solid hair, dude. What is he? He's a relief pitcher, right? He looked like he was a pitcher. Yeah, that is some great hair, dude. All right. We got Arizona and Seattle. Seattle is on the verge of a sweep here, I believe. Yeah. Seattle's playing better baseball right now. They've won 5 games in a row. They're above 500 now. They're in first place in the AL West. Possible they overlook Arizona, though, in a series finale where they've already won the series. Seattle plays the Mets next. I don't know if that's that big of a deal, though. So, I don't know. But, yeah, you might get more motivation out of Arizona here to try to avoid the sweep. Arizona, they're not a horrible team. Arizona used 2 relief pitchers yesterday. Seattle also used 2. Arizona's bullpen has confused me, man. They're almost below 4 for an ERA now, and they're ranked 3rd still in WHIP, where they've been like most of the season. So, I guess WHIP is more of an indicator, man, which is why I arranged it that way. I guess I have to admit Arizona's bullpen is decent, at least. Seattle's bullpen is ranked 17th, but they still have a way better ERA. So I think Seattle's bullpen is solid. Both bullpens are decent. Got to give them credit here. Hitting-wise, Arizona's 13th. Seattle actually has overtaken them. Seattle's offense is finally breaking out, dude, and they're at 12th now. So we're finally seeing Seattle play kind of like they did last year. I still think Seattle is one of the best teams in the American League based on who they have on the roster and whatever. So, yeah, and I think they should win this division. Barlow's their closer. Thank you. Dude, that's, yeah, I mean, he's got the hair for it, at least, I guess. I don't know. But, of course, they did have Mason Miller until they traded him over to San Diego, where he's reached another echelon there because it's way more pitcher-friendly. Merrill Kelly is pitching for Arizona here. He's turned it around, dude. I know his numbers look really bad, but he's not as bad as these numbers make him look. 5.25 ERA, 1.42 WHIP. I know he's old. He's 37. But you look at his career numbers. He's had a solid career. Even last year, he was solid, although he was with Texas last year, and now he's back with his former team, Arizona. But I think part of the reason why his numbers are really bad is because he came back from an injury. He had a delayed start to the season. He didn't get going right away, but his last 4 starts have all been quite good, and Arizona's won all of them. He's won all of them, so he's definitely pitching a lot better recently. So it looks like to me he's back in form. That included a complete game for the first time in his career against the Rockies, but it was in Coors Field at least. But yes, I mean, you don't want to weigh this too heavily, though. Like, you don't want to overreact like, oh my God, he's so good right now, because these starts were against the Mets, Colorado, yes, in Coors Field, and then the Giants twice. So that is not a gauntlet of offenses. But I still think he is definitely better than what he looked like when he was first coming back, though. So there is that. Now, he's facing Seattle. Seattle is better than all those offenses I just listed off. But he does have decent numbers against them. 54 at-bats, 241 batting average, 738 OPS, 13-4 strikeout walk ratio. Given decent matchup numbers, given that his career numbers suggest that he is better than this, that he's in better recent form right now, I would lean more towards Kelly pitching well here than not. And he is going up against Bryce Miller, who has been dealing with some injuries recently as well. He's had good numbers for the Mariners so far, but I believe he's only made 3 appearances so far because he's trying to return from injury as well. But he's been good so far. 2.25 ERA, 1 WHIP, and before his injury stuff, he was a pretty good pitcher as well. He's got a 0 ERA at home so far, but it was in 1 start. It was against the White Sox, so that was still a good sign. He's actually faced some pretty good offenses so far. Houston and then the A's, both of those on the road, and the White Sox at home, and he's allowed no more than 2 earned runs in any of those outings. That's a good sign, dude. He's going up against some good offenses, and he's pitching well. He's allowed 14 hits in 16 innings, 2 walks, and 14 strikeouts. Those are some good numbers. So I think Miller should do well here as well. Arizona basically has never seen him before. Only Arenado has ever faced him, and he's 1 for 3 with a strikeout against him. So I think both pitchers line up to do pretty well here. Both bullpens seem like they line up okay here. So I would lean under in this game. It's not on my card, but there are some question marks here that I just don't love, but the money's agreeing with me. It looks like on the under, 75% of tickets, 90% of the cash on the under is finally we're seeing some more percentages come in. Come on, Wager Talk, Odds Logic, get your stuff going here. 7.5 is the total. Of course, part of that is because this is Seattle. It's a very pitcher-friendly ballpark. But yeah, the odds makers are telling you that they think it'll be a low-scoring game. I would agree. If I was going to play the game, I would go under, while you can get the under 7.5. That's how I would do it. The money's indicating on Seattle. 53% of tickets, 62% of the cash on Seattle. They're around minus 150 here. It's a bit of a price to lay. I don't think I would want to do that because Arizona's trying to avoid the sweep here. I think Arizona could hang in this game, so I don't think I would want to do that. I think it's going to be a close, low-scoring game in my opinion, so I don't really have a good read on the side, although I might slightly agree that Miller has a slight edge over Kelly here, and Seattle may have a slight bullpen edge, but it's not much. I think these teams are pretty closely matched. So with that price on Seattle, I actually think that I would lean Arizona, getting them as an underdog. I think you might have them as a bit too big of an underdog here, basically because I think the odds makers are kind of factoring in Kelly's overall numbers, which I think are a bit misleading. And I think Arizona has a little bit more motivation trying to avoid the sweep. So that's what I think about that game. Philadelphia at the Dodgers. Now, here's what I think happened here yesterday, because you remember Andrew Painter was supposed to start yesterday for Philly against Sasaki, and I was like, well, I would trust Sasaki more than Painter. But then Philly changed it up, and they said, no, we're actually going with Luzardo. And then I said, well, Luzardo has better matchup numbers against the Dodgers. He's way better on the road. So I shifted my opinion to the under, and I wound up being correct. Wish I gave it out as a play there, man. But here's what I think the thought was with Philadelphia, with their new manager, Don Mattingly. I think this is what he felt. I think he was like, look, man, if we're going to have to face Yamamoto on Sunday. Yamamoto is pitching today. So I think Philly is throwing today's game, basically. I think Philly was basically like, tomorrow is going to be a loss. That's it. Like, we're facing Yamamoto. We're not going to win that game. So rather than put, a very untrustworthy pitcher out against Sasaki and possibly get swept, I think Philly was like, no, we're going to put Luzardo out there instead. Give us a chance to at least win this game, so at least we can get one game in the series. I think that's what Philly was doing there. I think they're assuming they're going to lose this game, so maybe that might not be a good mental state to be in, but I really think that's what they did. And that's why they flip-flopped the two starters here, because it looks like they're throwing this game. Like, why would you want Painter up against Yamamoto here? Now, there are some things that are not great about the Dodgers setup here. Namely, they just lost a 6-game win streak with that loss yesterday. So there is a possible hangover after that. When you lose a long win streak, you can get hung over a bit. But, I just told you what the starting pitching matchup is here, and it is a huge mismatch in favor of the Dodgers, in my opinion. The starting pitching is. And I also think the Dodgers have the better bullpen. Philly used 4 relief pitchers yesterday as well. The Dodgers also used 4, but the Dodgers have been a very good bullpen. They're ranked 2 right now, and the Phillies are decent at 10th, but the Dodgers have been the better one. Dodgers are the number 1 offense, and they have a huge edge there. Philadelphia is 28th, so that is a concern if you want the Phillies as well. And then, of course, like I said, the starting pitching matchup, I think, is a major mismatch. Andrew Painter will get the start today instead of yesterday. I did handicap him against the Dodgers yesterday, but he's got a 5.4 ERA, 1.46 whip. He's worse on the road, 5.95 road ERA. He did pitch better recently. He's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in 3 straight outings. But as I pointed out yesterday, it was against the Red Sox, the Reds, and Cleveland. The Dodgers are a different animal here, man. And his strikeout rate was low. And if you look at his numbers, both this month and over the course of the season, his strikeout rate is low. His walk rate's a bit too high. His walk rate is actually really high this month. 10 walks in 26 innings, 19 strikeouts, and 27 hits allowed. not good numbers this month, and 5 home runs too. And his hit rate is way too high, above 1 per inning. So I don't trust Painter. Yes, the Dodgers haven't seen him before, and sometimes that will be an advantage to a young pitcher. Painter was a highly touted prospect, so yeah, I do think he might wind up being a good pitcher at some point, but right now, I wouldn't trust him, and he's going to have to somehow battle Yamamoto here. Yamamoto, obviously, we know he's really good. He's got a 3.09 ERA, .98 whip for the Dodgers here. He's been a bit worse at home, though, 3.77 home ERA. Not that that's bad, though. He's pitched well his last 2 outings. He got roughed up a little bit last time at home against San Francisco, but it was kind of unlucky. He gave up 3 home runs in that outing, but his numbers across the board were good in that start otherwise. And this month, his numbers are still excellent. 21 hits in 26 innings, 4 walks, and 27 strikeouts. All that is good. He's gone 7 innings apiece in his last 2 outings, allowed 1 earned run in each on the road against San Diego and Milwaukee. So 1 bad offense and 1 good offense. His strikeout rate's not that high on the season. It's below 1 per inning, but his hit rate is well below 1 per inning. His walk rate is low. We get it. He's good. And he's got pretty good numbers against Philly, although not as good as you would think. In 31 at-bats, 258 batting average allowed. 762 OPS is slightly high. 7 strikeouts, 4 walks. So, yeah, Philly, I mean, they've hit Yamamoto a little bit in the past, but they don't have, like, great offensive numbers against him or anything. Most teams do not. I don't think Yamamoto's going to pitch poorly here. I think the Dodgers are going to win this game. They do have the money coming in on them. I just think they have too many advantages here. 74% of tickets, 84% of the cash on them. But you're having to lay minus 216 or so on them here, minus 220. That price is just kind of crazy. I know it's the Dodgers. I know it's Yamamoto. But you know you're not getting any value by laying a price like that. And the total, by the way, is high at 9. So the odds makers are kind of expecting runs here, possibly in both directions, which is interesting. I mean, I don't know if I would necessarily disagree with an over here. I think maybe the best way to play this is Dodgers over the team total, though I know they have a bunch of advantages, but I think they should be able to get to Painter a little bit and the bullpen, but still it is a mystery because Painter is unfamiliar, so there are too many mysteries here. I'm not going to do anything with the game. Kyle, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. And then we have the NBC Peacock night game is Cubs and Cardinals. It's Sammy Sosa against Mark McGwire, man. I remember those matchups back in the day. That home run race, that was some of the most entertaining baseball, man. We got to bring steroids back. They should let all the steroid users get into the Hall of Fame, man. I don't fucking care. Everybody used them. You're telling me that there's nobody in the Hall of Fame that used steroids? Give me a break. These teams have split the first 2 games of the series, by the way. I did lean to the Cubs yesterday, and they did get the job done behind another good performance from Ben Brown yesterday. So, I don't know. I don't want to say I'm mad for leaving that one off my card, but that was kind of in the mix, in consideration for me yesterday, the Cubs. So, they did get the win yesterday. The Cubs are the better team here. Cubs used 2 relief pitchers yesterday. St. Louis used 4, but of course, this is a night game. It's a divisional game. Each team has won a game in the series. Both teams are going to show up here. Cubs have a more rested bullpen and a better bullpen, though. They're ranked 7th in bullpen. St. Louis is, where are they? 20th. So, yeah, the Cubs have a decent bullpen edge here. The Cubs' offense has been better as well. They're 8th. St. Louis has dropped off a little bit after they were pretty hot early in the season. They're 16th right now. But this pitching matchup, oh, God. The Cubs are going with Jordan Wicks, who I believe they brought him back up from the minors, or he came back from injury. I don't know what the deal was with him. I know his numbers are they're absolutely awful. 16.62 ERA, 2.31 whip, I know. But he only made 1 start so far. And maybe I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass for that because it was at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh hits well at home. I know he got rocked. He gave up 8 runs, 9 hits, 4 in the 3rd innings. All the runs were earned. 5 strikeouts and 1 walk wasn't that bad, though. So he was way too hittable, but his command was decent. So I don't really think he's that bad. I don't think he's as bad as he looked in that outing. We can go back and look at what he's done in the past, though. He was good in 2023 with the Cubs, and they were using him as a starter, but then they used him as a starter in 2024, and he really wasn't very good. And then he pitched just in relief a little bit in 2025. might have gotten injured, or they might have just sent him down to the minors. I don't know what they did, but he wasn't really cutting it. So, yeah, while he's not as bad as his numbers look right now, his career numbers don't inspire a ton of confidence. So, I'm not very confident in him. His numbers against St. Louis, however, are actually good. In 22 at-bats, 182 batting average, 364 OPS, no extra base hits, 8 strikeouts, no walks. So he might actually pitch well here, given that matchup. More pitcher-friendly stadium. St. Louis is going with Matthew Liberatore. He's been not great. 4.76 ERA, but a really bad 1.57 whip. You cannot put more than 1.5 guys on base in inning, man. His ERA should be higher than that based on how bad that whip is. He's been worse at home, 5.16 home ERA. He's struggling, dude, even though his strikeout rate has actually been really high this month. A couple of big strikeout games the last couple of games, but he's not going deep into these outings. He's allowing too many runs, and too many hits. He's allowed 31 hits in 26 and a third innings this month, although he has 34 strikeouts, which is really good. But he also has 11 walks, multiple walks in every outing. So he's been too hittable and too walk heavy. And yes, he's faced some good offenses this month. I know he's faced some difficult offenses, but I don't trust him. His numbers are bad. He's allowed way over 1 hit per inning on the season. Strikeout rate is decent, but his walk rate is really high. He's allowed a decent amount of home runs, too. His numbers against the Cubs are not great in 55 at-bats, 273 batting average allowed, 848 OPS, 14-9 strikeout walk ratio. I don't like it, man. I might lean to the Cubs in this one. I think the Cubs are the better team. The money's coming in on St. Louis, which I don't really love. I still think St. Louis is not as good as their record looks, even though they have been playing worse baseball recently, which I kind of expected. They're around minus 112 or so here, minus 115 on the money line. So they're getting less than home advantage here. So the odds makers are kind of telling you, even with Wicks on the mound, they think the Cubs are a little bit of the better team here. But the money is hitting St. Louis, 62% of tickets, 78% of the cash on St. Louis. So the money is indicating that way. The total's fairly high, 8.5. I think an over does make sense here, too. I think both starting pitchers are a bit untrustworthy, and you have one pretty bad bullpen here, too. So over makes some sense to me as well in this game. And maybe that's the better approach here than trying to play the Cubs side, where, yeah, I think the pitchers are kind of untrustworthy. So, yeah, over makes sense in that game as well. All right. Then we have WNBA. We don't see the percentages on this. There's only one game here on NBC and Peacock in the afternoon, 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Who cares? Nobody's going to watch it anyway. Golden State, though, they're, a rising team in the WNBA, and they're up against the returning champs, the Las Vegas Aces here, the Golden State Valkyries. Golden State's coming off a good win over Indiana at home. I know Indiana looked really bad last night. But I think Indiana's still a decent team. I think they're going to make the playoffs at the very least, even though they're out of the playoffs currently. Golden State, I think, is going to be a playoff team as well this year. That was a good win for Golden State, but they're not going to be in a letdown spot. They're not going to overlook Vegas, in an isolated game where it's the only WNBA game today against the returning champs. I don't see that happening, although Golden State's played a pretty weak schedule, though. They played Seattle, Connecticut in there. The Liberty have not been playing well either. Chicago's pretty mediocre. Phoenix is decent. Indiana twice, they're decent. But this hasn't been a brutal schedule yet for Golden State, so maybe that's a little bit of a concern. The Aces are the better team, even though they have the worst record. The odds makers are telling you that because Vegas is like a 1.5, 2-point favorite here on the road. So they're telling you the Aces, despite having the worst record, they're the better team. They face a little bit more of a difficult schedule, I guess, with Atlanta. Well, I don't know. Atlanta, Dallas in there, LA twice, Phoenix. I don't know. But Vegas has been better on the road, though. They've won almost all of their road games, and they've lost both their home games. They're coming off a loss on the road against Dallas a few days ago. Both teams have similar amount of rest here. I don't have a good opinion on this, man. I would lean Vegas just because the odds makers are telling you they're the better team despite the records. Vegas is coming off somewhat of an ugly loss against Dallas. Golden State's having to play 2 big games in a row. I like Vegas here. That's probably the way I would go, laying the small amount of points or maybe even a money line, but I don't have a good opinion on this. What? Which game are you talking about? The over and what game? What are we talking about here? I will answer that if I don't end the show before then. I'll answer that. If you tell me which game you're talking about. But that's going to do it for today's show, man. My 2 plays are the first 5 inning under in Twins Pirates. I know we're going back to that again. I like the starting pitching there, man. We're going to go with Zebby against Ashcraft. I think it's a very under-the-radar pitching matchup. And then we're going another first 5, but a side, finally. Not a total every time from me. That's the Kansas City Royals first 5 innings is my other play. We'll back Michael Wacha on that one. St. Louis at Chicago. The total is 8.5 right now. You can see there on the board. I lean over in that game. But yeah, 8.5. It's a reasonable total in that game. I know it's a pitcher-friendly ballpark, but to me it looks like it's a somewhat hitter-conducive matchup there. But it's not one of my stronger opinions, though. Like I said, I think my stronger opinions that I left off my card are over in San Diego and Washington. I like that one, but it looks very public. And then we have a starting pitching change. I guess I might have to mention that before I get out of here with Miami here. I don't know what's going on. Miami, unless they're putting an opener in front of junk. I don't know what they're doing here. And then the other game that I liked that I almost put on my card, what was it again? I don't even remember, man. I apologize. I think it was really just that one, the over San Diego, Washington. That one almost made my card. All right. All right, let me bring the MLB schedule back up here. Hang on. Annoying. Whoops. Which tab was it? Oh, my God. No, not the Aces. All right, there it is. So it looks like some guy named King is pitching for Miami now. He might be like opening in front of junk, though. Let me look at their roster here. Because I don't think I've ever heard of this guy. He's not even on the roster, so I don't know. What are they doing here? I'm going to look up who this guy is. King, right? Jay King? Who the fuck is that? A lefty. It is John King. He is a relief pitcher. No, he is there. I don't know. He's listed on Miami's roster. I don't know what's going on with that. Hang on. I'm bringing him in. Yeah, I don't know why he wasn't there, but he's got a 1.93 ERA, 0.69 whip. Yeah, I think he's going to be an opener. He's gone, for the most part, he's gone like an inning every time he's gone out there. I think he's an opener, so whatever. He's got mediocre numbers against the Mets, let's say, but I don't think that really matters. I think it will still be junk pitching behind him, but it looks like they're just putting an opener in front of junk. That would be my guess. I'm not 100% sure about that. But, if you wanted to play the Mets in that game, I don't think it changes the handicap that much. So I think if you go Mets here, like I said, I would lean to the Mets because I like McLain. Mets first 5 probably makes more sense, like I was saying, because I think Miami does have a little bit of a bullpen edge there. If you go Mets first 5, it really doesn't change the handicap that much. So if you go Mets first 5, go action with it so you don't have to worry about what the hell Miami's doing as far as their starting pitching there. All right. I think that's going to do it, man. So you got my plays. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad on Instagram. Go check me out everywhere. Like, subscribe to the show here. Yeah, let's get these numbers up, man. Listen on audio, Apple, Spotify, Spreaker. The numbers are slowly going up a little bit in both places. So let's get that going. Tell everybody about it. Hopefully we can go back on a hot streak here. Just, recently, we've been in a lull recently, but overall pretty hot. Ended last year really well, went on some nice runs in the NFL, and then most of this year has been good too. So let's keep it going. What's up, JC? I see you in the chat there. I'm about to get out of here though. JC is everywhere, folks. What else was I gonna say? Oh yeah. Covered in Uke is my Uke channel on YouTube. You can check that out. I have another Uke cover I did that I got to get up there soon. Patreon.com/LearnAToad. You can support me there. I got to get my voice back to do the cover that Harry Balls wants me to do. So I'm going to get that done soon-ish. But go check me out at all those places. Throw me some support if you can. Loser cast will be back on Tuesday. Got to figure out a loser. I need a loser. I got to figure out who I'm going to pick for a loser this week. There are some options, I suppose. And then G-Spot Giants podcast. I got to talk to Ben. I feel like I say that every episode, but we will do some sort of draft reaction plus season preview, whatever, at some point. And like and subscribe to the channel here because, of course, I'll do an extra Belmont Stakes episode that'll be coming up soon. And, you know, I don't know what I'm going to do with the World Cup. Like I said, I don't know anything about the World Cup, really, except I know my ancestors in Italy didn't even make the World Cup this year, even though they're almost always in it, I think, because they're one of the better soccer countries. So I don't know what's going on with that. I think my other ancestors are in it somewhere, Sweden, but they're not that good, so whatever. Anyway, what else did I have to say? No, I think that was about it. But yeah, if you subscribe to me here, you will get the notifications for me. Yeah, I think that's about it. But yeah, World Cup. What I will at least do is I'll fill out an ESPN knockout bracket once it gets to the knockout stages. Like I said, they do have another game where you pick like just the ordering that the teams are going to come in each group, kind of like what I did with the NFL. But it's just, I did it in a very boring way. I don't know anything about soccer. So I did it literally just based on the odds. So whatever. JC, Zach, what's up, everybody? Zach, I will tell you, Zach, you missed it. I have a play today on the Royals. Your Royals on the first 5 only. First 5 money line. We're backing Michael Wacha today for one of my plays. I like it. And trying to avoid the sweep there as well. But first 5 only because your Royals, your bullpen is just so bad, dude. That's going to do it. I'll be back tomorrow. I guess it'll be a bit of a shorter board tomorrow. That's going to do it. Yes. Yeah. Waka flocka. Waka waka. That's going to do it. Peace. Vodka.
But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now.